Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wanu Sharafina binti Wan Azman. I'm from Group 6, which we will present variation order and financial statement. So my group members is Nadia Alwani, Nur Amalin Iwana and Fatihah Auni. So firstly, I will explain to you about definition of variation order. So as stated in clause 24.2 PWD and clause 11.1 PAM, variation is alteration and modification of the design, quality, quantity of the works as described by or referred to therein and affects the contract sum. So, any changes for these three things, which is design, quality and quantity, which will affect the contract sum. SO for PWD contracts and architect for PAM contracts will issue the variation order for contractors to make a variation. So the works as described by or referred to therein and affects the contract sum, which are A. Addition, omission or subtraction work. B. The alteration of the kind or standards of any of materials, goods to be used in the works. C. The removal from the site of any executed materials or goods that brought thereon by contractor for the purposes of works other than work, material or goods which are not in accordance with the contract. And D is from PAM, clause 11.1D. Any changes to the provision in contract with regards to any limitation of working hours, working space, access or utilization of any specific part of the site, the execution, completion of the work in any specific order, and the execution of temporary works. Next is issue of variation. For contract PWD, clause 24.1, the SO may issue the instructions of variation in a form of variation order. No variation by SO shall vitiate this contract. Upon the issuance of such variation order, the contractor shall forthwith comply with the variation order issued by SO. So for the contract PWD, the SO have the power to instruct the contractor to make a variation in a form of variation order. So any instruction from SO for variation will not vitiate the contract, and the contractor should do the variation which instructed by the SO. Meanwhile, for PAM contract in clause 11.2, it's just the same like PWD, but the architect will issue the variation order in the form of architect instruction. So PWD, the SO will issue the variation order, and for PAM, the architect will issue the architect instruction for the variation order.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadia Alwani binti Nuralizi. My student ID number is 2018241998. So today I will present to you guys about the valuation of variation class based on PWD 203A and PAM 2018. In this topic, we will take a look on clause 25.1 PWD 203A and 11.5 PAM 2018. For your information, both of these clauses have give same meaning but a little bit different. For clause 25.1 PWD 203A has stated all variation instructed in writing by the SO shall be measured and valued by the SO. It means all the confirmed variation shall be measured and valued by SO regarding the works done by the contractor. When the measurement needs to be done on site, SO shall give notice to the contractor in existing SO or SO representative in conducting measurement. In clause 27.1 has stated, the contractor who shall attend or send a qualified agent to assist the SO or SO representative in making such measurement and shall furnish all particulars required by SO. The contractor shall provide SO with particular information required as stated in clause 27.1. Next, we will go through to the clause 11.5 in PAM 2018. In this clause has stated, all variations shall be measured and valued by the quantity surveyor. The contractor shall submit complete details and particulars as required by the architect and QS for the valuation of variation. If the details provided by the contractor are sufficient to enable him to carry out the measurement evaluation, QS will submit an inform letter to the contractor stating the deficiency in his submission within 28 days from the receipt of contractor's submission. Contractor must resubmit complete details to QS within 28 days after receiving the letter. After receiving the complete details, QS needs to measure and value the variation within 30 days or any other extended date as agreed between architect and contractor.
Assalamualaikum and hi again. I will continue our next explanation, and I will explain about animated work, which is in PWD clause 25.2 and PAM clause 11.6D. So firstly, where work cannot be measured or valued, which is lump sum, the SO for PWD and architect and QS for PAM may allow day work price. Secondly, unless otherwise provided in BQ, the day work prices for purpose of this contract shall be taken to mean the actual net cost to the contractor of his materials, plant and labour for the work of concern. Thirdly, the contractor shall be paid day work prices plus 15%, which shall include the cost of ordinary plant, tools, supervision and profits. And the fourth, the contractor need to provide vouchers, receipts and wage book specifying the time for labour plan employed and materials used to SO for PWD and architect and QS for PAM not exceeding 7 days after the work shall be done for PWD, while for the PAM it shall be delivered not later than 14 days after the work have been done. So which means for the PWD, the contractor shall deliver all the evidence to SO not more than 7 days after the work have been done. And for PAM, the contractor should deliver all the evidence to architect and QS not more than 14 days after the work have been done. Next is PWD clause 25.3 and PAM clause 11.6F. So for PWD, the amount of variation shall be certified by SO and added to or deduction from the contract as the case may be, and the amount shall be adjusted accordingly. This will affect or involve the calculation in final account, which we have learned with Madam before.
Now I will explain to you guys about the valuation rules for PWD 203A and PAM 2018, or clause 25.1A and clause 11.6A. Both of these clauses have given same meaning. As I will read about the clause PWD 203A, the rates in the bill of quantity after adjustment if necessary, as provided in clause 26.6 and 26.7 hereof, shall determine the valuation of work of similar character executed under similar condition as work priced therein. For the PAM, have the same meaning with the PWD 203A. For the similar character, the meaning of the similar character is additional item, has same type, size and specification like existing door. And for the similar condition, have same method of installation. Therefore, the rates, we will just use the same rates in the contract document. Next, I will explain about the clause 25.1b and clause 11.6c. For the PWD 203A, the set rates where work is not of similar character or executed under similar conditions as aforesaid shall be the basis of rates for the same so far as may be reasonable, feeling which a fair valuation thereof shall be made by the SO. For the PAM, actually this clause is similar with the PWD 203A, but just the difference is fair market rates and price determined by the quantity surveyor. Next, we will take a look to the clause 25.1c in PWD 203A and clause 11.6a in PAM 2018. In clause 25.1c has stated the rates in the bill of quantity shall determine the valuation of item omitted, provided that if the omission substantially vary the conditions under which any remaining items of work are carried out, the rates of such remaining items shall be valued under the 25.1b. And for the PAM 2018 has stated the rates and price in the contract document shall determine the valuation of item omitted. If omission substantially vary the conditions under which any remaining item of works are carried out, the price of such remaining items shall be valued under the clause 11.6a, 11.6b, and 11.6c. Both of these clauses has given the same meaning as the clause explained to us. If omission in item occur, we have to follow the rates from existing item in the contract document. As an example, if the contract has to omit a door, the rate for a door has to follow the existing rate as written in contract. If the omission affect other words, the rates for the remaining item we have to refer on clause 25.1b in PWD and 11.6a until c in PAM 2018. Next, I will explain about the clause 11.6b PAM 2018. In this clause has stated where work is of similar character to work as set out in the contract documents but not executed under similar conditions, but there is significant change in the quantity of work carried out, the rates and price in the contract document shall be the basis for determining the valuation, which shall include a fair adjustment in the rates to take into account such difference.
My name is Nurul Amalin Iwana binti Yuziman. I will continue with the clause 11.7 in PAM, which is additional expense caused by variation. This clause tells us about where the contractor has an additional expense, but he will not be paid under any provision in clause 11.6. So the contractor can make a claim for such additional expense. In clause 11.7a, the contractor shall give a written notice to the architect of its intention to claim for such additional expense. it need to make initial estimate for its claim and support with all necessary calculation. The written notice must be given within 28 days from the date AI architect instruction giving rise to his claim. In clause 11.7b, tell us about the within 28 days of complete such variation, the contractor should send to the architect and quantity surveyor the complete particular of its claim together with necessary calculation for its claim. If the contractor fail to submit required particular within the state time or within such longer period as may be agreed in writing by the architect, it should be deemed that the contractor has waived its right to any such expense. As you can see here, this is the example of written notice that the contractor should give to the architect and quantity surveyor. This is the summary for the clause 11.7, which the contractor has an additional expense, but he would not be paid under any provision. In clause 11.6, the contractor may make a claim for such additional expense. First, the contractor should give a written notice to the architect of its intention to claim. He must make an initial estimate for its claim and support with necessary calculation, and then the notice written must be given within 28 days from the date AI giving rise to its claim and must complete in 28 days and sent to the architect and QS. If the contractor fails to submit required particular within the state time, the contractor lost its chance to claim for the additional expense. Next, I will continue with the clause 11.8 in PAM, which is access to contractor's book and document. In this clause, the contractor should keep any contemporaneous record to substantiate all its claims for additional under clause 11.7 and should submit all particular to the architect and QS. The architect and QS shall have access to all books, document, report, paper or record in the possession, custody or control of the contractor that are material to the claim. The contractor also provide free of charge a copy each to the architect and QS when requested. All documents should remain available until all claims have been resolved. The contractor shall use its best endeavour to ensure that all such similar documents in the possession, custody or control of its subcontractor and supplier that are material to the claims are similarly available. Next, clause 11.9 in PAM, which variation and additional expense added to contract sum. As soon as the architect and QS have ascertained the amount of variation and additional expense that has been claimed by the contractor under clause 11.7, the amount so ascertained shall be added to the contract sum. When interim certificate is issued after the date of ascertainment, amount shall be included in the certificate.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatia Auni binti Kamariza. Right now, I'm going to explain about the adjustment of contract sum. Before that, let's go through what is contract sum. Basically, contract sum is the price that been agreed with the contractor and entered to the contract. It should be calculated very carefully as errors are deemed to have been accepted by both parties. And as shown in this slide, these are reasons and events that make the adjustment of the contract sum possible.
So next we take a look at the clause in the PWD 203A about this adjustment of contract sum. In clause 29, page 21, the amount to be added to or deduct from the contract sum in respect of expense or loss due to fees and charges in relation to the supply of water and electricity and permanent connections to water. Electricity, telephone, and sewage mains under Clause 6.2. Variations under Clause 24. Rectification of errors in bill of quantities under Clause 26.3. Fluctual of price under Clause 30. Payment of PC sums and provisional sums under Clause 34. Opening up work for inspection and testing of materials or goods and executed work under Clause 35.2. Loss and expense under Clause 44, and cost of disposal of fossils and more under Clause 65, hereof shall be certified by SO. In PEM 2018, Clause 13.1, page 15, the contract sum shall not be adjusted or altered in any way whatsoever other than in accordance with the express provisions of the contract. Any arithmetical errors or any corrected and or rationalized by architect or consultant without AMU change to the contract sum before the signing of the contract. Now we move on to the prime cost sum and provisional sum. Prime cost sum is for nominated subcontractor when they have to carry out the specialist works or services in main contract. It covers the payment of works performed by nominated subcontractor or good supplied by nominated supplier in BQ. For provisional sum, it provides for expenditure which has not been quantified or detailed at the time the tender documents are issued. It provides the expenditure which the scope of works has not been defined. The works are usually unforeseeable at the tendering stage. These are the clauses in the PWD. First, Clause 34.1, page 22, in respect of any and every prime cost or PC sum provided in the contract, the amount due to any contractor shall be determined by deducting the said prime cost or PC sum and the relevant profit and or attendance charges from the contract sum and substituting for the same with the actual amount due to relevant nominated subcontractor or nominated supplier as valued in accordance with the relevant subcontract, and the sums due to any contractor by way of profit and or attendance charges at the rates or prices stipulated in the contract documents, if any. Next, Clause 34.2, the provisional sum may be expended at such times and in such amounts as the SO may direct. Such sum, if not used either wholly or in part, shall be deducted from the contract sum. The value of works which are executed by the contractor in respect of provisional sum shall be ascertained in accordance with Clause 25 hereof. The said value of such work executed by contractor shall be set off from the contract sum as the case may be. Clause 34.3, any work to be executed or materials or goods to be supplied for which provisional sums are provided in the bills of quantities may, if the SO so decides, be treated as PC sum items and shall be dealt in accordance Clause 34.1. For Clause 34.4, where the contractor in the ordinary course of his business directly carried out works for which PC sum are provided in the bill of quantities, and where such works are set out in appendix, contractor shall be permitted to the tender of the same or any of them without prejudice to government's right to reject the lowest or any tender if the tender of the contractor for any work included the profit and attendance charges, and contractor shall not be entitled to the profit and attendance charges and as contained in the bills of quantities, notwithstanding any provision to the contrary under Clause 34.1. Last but not least, clause in PEM 2018, Clause 11.4, page 14, the architect shall issue AI in regard to expenditure of PC sums and provisional sum included in contract bills and of PC sums which arise as a result of instruction issued in regard to the expenditure of provisional sums. That's all from me. Thank you.